So
exactly.
with that, I will turn over maybe to you, Thomas, to start us out with the latest views of where technology is, how it's impacting society, and what it means to all of us, old, young, and in between in the workplace.
Absolutely. Let me know when you can see my screen.
We can just do slideshow and we are
You see,
good.
you see my
Yes,
screen?
yes.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm just setting up everything here. Wonderful. All right, good afternoon or good morning. I don't know what time zone you are in, but welcome. And I want to start off with, from the tech point of view, this is our third or fourth show or show. This is show. That's interesting. I don't know. What do you call these things? Because webinar is always boring. So this is not a webinar. This is our third or fourth experience. How's that work?
Yes.
So this is our third or fourth experience. And in the first experience, I talked about the AI coming to your mobile phone real soon. I made a prediction. So Jennifer was joking about we're going to be making some predictions. So my prediction back in November was that AI will be in your mobile phone by Christmas of 2024. I was wrong because it's coming even faster. This is the slide I presented back in November, just to catch up everybody. If you weren't on the first one, don't worry about it. What I said was, and I love this cute little picture, I said every mobile phone is going to have its own personal AI assistant. So your personal AI assistant will be talking to your doctor's AI assistant, booking your doctor's appointments, the gym memberships, all sorts of cool things. And I said, like I said, thought it would be happen by Christmas, but actually, because of the technical pieces that needed to be in place. But to bring everybody up to date, because what's happening with AI is actually moving faster than the dot-com days. So any of you are old enough to have worked during the dot-com days, and remember how everything was going crazy super fast? Anything with a dot-com, is valuation going through the roof. I mean, I remember things were exploding back then. I look back then, and I think things were slow compared to the speed of AI today. If you look at the announcement made by Microsoft, now this is not nerdy. I think it's important for you all to understand. We all know about ChatGPT. Microsoft is, Jennifer, you said it. What's Microsoft's solution? It's called Copilot. There we
Yeah.
go. Microsoft Copilot. But one of the things everybody in the tech world wants to do is provide you with your own personal AI. And that's going to happen inside this phone. So what Microsoft, they were one of the first in the world, is they've shrunken down ChatGPT, which requires a major cloud computing center. And they shrunken it down in software so small it fits in here without any delay. And it's called Phi 3. So my prediction in December, wrong, it's happening now. But the leader who's going to bring AI to all of you on a personal level and a business level is Apple, if you got an iPhone. Apple, their solution is called OpenELM. Now, this is what's really amazing from a tech point of view. Microsoft solution Phi 3 and Apple's solution for AI, and they're competing with ChatGPT, which I think everybody now has heard of. They're actually faster and better than ChatGPT, but they're smaller. Think about that. Somehow they've cracked the nut of it. These big LLMs, these learning language models, which has hundreds of billions and approaching trillions of lines of information data, so that this AI is super intelligent. The smaller it is, the faster and smarter it is. I'm telling you, the world of the dot-com days where we thought things were crazy, AI is actually crazier, because the smaller something is, the faster it is. It's counterintuitive. It's really interesting. And what's relevant to you is that the first time you're going to taste your aperitif, your appetizer of AI, if you haven't played with ChatGPT, it will happen on June 10th, which is about 6 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Apple's newest update of the iOS 18, they will AI enable your mobile phone. So I circled down here all the different features. It's Apple Safari, Siri, shortcuts, Apple Music, messages, health, numbers, pages, keynote, and more. All will be AI enabled and personalized. What that means is As you use your phone, you will have a personal AI agent in your phone, learning your habits and learning what you're doing and helping you. Think of it as a butler or a maid within your mobile phone helping you. And this is I want to say a free gift. Nothing's free from Apple, but this this is a this is coming to you on June 10th. And then you can shoot me an email on June 11th and complain. But I'm just letting you know it's coming. Okay. Don't shoot the messenger. One other thing is that we are so Western with all this chat GPT. You have Facebook with they're changing it to Meta. All these were very focused, and Microsoft, everything's in the Western civilization. But we've heard nothing from the rest of the world. Well, they've been doing a lot of things. China has come out with their own ChatGPT competitor, and all benchmarks have shown that it's actually faster than ChatGPT. The reason why I show you is that we're just beginning. You know the hockey stick curve of where things really start to take off? We're barely curving up, where everybody's thinking, God, things are going so fast. We're barely curving up because 2/3 of the world haven't even made their first announcements. While ChatGPT is on version 4, we're waiting 4.5. China's version 1.0 was already better than ChatGPT's 4.5. I mean, this thing's exploding. Super exciting. But let me keep on going. This is cool stuff. I love this animation down here. Just so cool. Reminds me of, I can't give myself, I say that, but let your imagination flow. There are people who are like this. Listen, AI is super expensive. And a lot of you business leaders are thinking, well, if I have an AI project, how do I get started? Who are the right people to hire? One of the things I want to do is let you know that you be very careful as you look to invest in the right skills and talented people. Jennifer and I think we would started to talk about, maybe that was an interesting topic for a future discussion, to discuss how do you create the perfect innovation team, the perfect AI team in your company? Because a lot of business leaders are asking, what is that? How do I do that without breaking the bank? And what I mean by breaking the bank, a very American expression, is that this is breaking the bank. The top talent in the AI world are getting $1 million a year in salary. That's going to break every company's bank. That's ridiculous. So when all you are working on AI and you want to put together an AI project, obviously you want to pay $1 million per person. So if you want to have Jennifer and I explore this, how to create a perfect team for you to achieve your goals in the future, let us know. But what I wanted to show you was, from that article, there was one paragraph, and I zoomed in just so you have a feel for how crazy salaries are going. ChatGPT reported that their median salary, all right, for their AI developers is $925,000. That's the first sentence. That's an insane amount of money. If you look down the second, third sentence towards the bottom, Meta, Facebook, they took the median salary from 344 machine learning and AI engineers, and the median salary, meaning the average salary in Facebook, Meta, is $400,000 a year. This is not the way to go. You don't want to get into a competition where you're paying these insane salaries. There are other ways to do this, and this health requires a much bigger discussion. It's not about the numbers. It's about being innovative to solve your corporate solutions. All right. But I just want to show you this so you don't think that this is the direction you should go. Do not play this game. Don't do that. Play it, be smarter. This is too expensive. So with that, wrapping up my talk with a couple more slides, what are the things that you should be thinking about today? AI chatbots or AI agents. So for today, I like AI chatbots. I think AI chatbots are, everybody goes to a website. If you go to your bank, you'll say, hey, how can I help you today? You write in, I'm looking to have a problem in my savings account or something like that. That's a chatbot. That's good business for today. But in the future, tomorrow is AI agents. Klarna, a Swedish company, financial company, they launched their chatbot, and it has done wonders for them. A lot of people say, show me examples of success in AI. A chatbot is nothing difficult. Technically, I actually attended a course, and a guy who didn't know how to program, he actually was able to, in 20 minutes, launch his first chatbot. It wasn't super intelligent, but it's really simple to launch a chatbot. Klarna launched their chatbot, and if you look at bullet number 2 from the bottom, their chatbot has replaced or is doing the work of over 700 full-time employees. That's pretty incredible. Okay? So sometimes when it comes to AI, you don't have to have the fanciest solution. You don't have to have a team of people making $1 million a year. Sometimes something as simple as making a chatbot will bring the returns and revenue savings to your company. Okay? So even though I'm a nerd and I love AI, something as simple as a chatbot is sometimes perfect for your first deployment of AI. Okay?
So Thomas, a question
Yeah.
actually.
Go for it.
What is the difference between a chatbot that I think we've probably all used and a true AI assistant, as it looks like the Klarna is, that may be the reason it's had such much greater success?
And AI, okay, so chatbots are pre-filled in answers. So a chatbot would be you would say our top 50, 20 questions we get are this, then these would be the answers you give. What is it, most call centers, 90, matter of fact, Lena, who's on the call, she works in telemarketing. She probably has better data than I do on this. 90% of the calls you get are within the same 10 questions.
Mhm.
So you have a chatbot is just a predefined question, predefined answer, predefined question, predefined answer. That's a chatbot. And AI, when we talk about AI, we're talking about the generative AI, LLMs, and being more semi-intelligent. What that is, this is not predefined. What the current ChatGPT, let's call it chatbot versus ChatGPT to simplify it. ChatGPT has ingested when I talk massive amounts of data. God, ChatGPT, the ChatGPT 4.5 that you pay $20 a month for, it has a live connection to the internet. So every single moment of the day, it's ingesting the entire internet. That's how much data it's ingesting. And then when you ask ChatGPT 4.5 Pro a question, it's literally turning around, looking at all of the information in the internet that it has access to, and goes, and then it answers you. So it's not predefined. It's actually calculating and connecting dots and answering you. So that's the difference. One's predefined and one's instantaneous. And that's why ChatGPT, if you ask it the same question 5 seconds later, you will almost always get a different answer, because the internet is completely different 5 seconds later.
Mhm.
Is that okay?
That answers my question, or my first question, but with an AI assistant, is it
Yeah.
fair to say that, for example, with Klarna or the bank, I say, I just bought a pair of pants and I paid X amount of money for them and they don't fit. How can I send them back? Can it look at my customer number and know that I'm in Norway and figure out
Wow.
the duties and the fees?
I was gonna have an inappropriate answer as a friend because we're friends, but I think I shouldn't share that publicly because it would be funny, but then it would be whatever. We won't touch that one. The perfect answer for that, getting myself in trouble, sorry. The perfect answer for that is that a chatbot would be not at all suitable for what you need.
Right.
But your AI agent built into your mobile phone,
Yeah.
you would tell, hey, this order that I ordered from whatever store, the pants don't fit, return it. And the AI agent built in your mobile phone would connect to the AI agent of whatever the store is. It would then take care of the shipping, the labeling, the address, and all that. It'll set it all up for you, and it's doing all that work. It's a virtual assistant. It's a person who's doing all that work for you in the background. That's the difference. A chatbot, it'll say, call this number, right?
Right.
It's doesn't do anything. So that's why AI agents this is so exciting what's coming. Now, the reason why AI agents are not, right now, an AI agent takes programming. So it's not as simple as what I told about a moment ago, where the guy for 20 minutes, he launched a chatbot. We're nowhere near that. It is so nerdy. It's painful to launch an AI agent. What you're going to see is companies like Microsoft, who are fantastic at doing it. They will embed AI agents. Like you'll have a simple request, and they'll have in the background all these AI agents being made in real time for you, and you'll have thousands of AI agents doing all sorts of things for you. If I could nerd out for 1 second, I think in my head I love the example, but I never said it out loud, so I'll experiment with all of you. You write a paragraph. You will literally have an AI agent whose sole job is to look at the spelling. You'll have another AI agent, and now you're not creating it. This is all built into the Microsoft Word, let's say. You'll have one AI agent just looking at just the spelling. Next agent looking at all the grammar. Next agent looking at all of the facts dealing with whatever context you have about agriculture. Another AI agent being a world-leading expert in this. So you're going to have thousands and thousands of all these virtual little experts looking at everything. As you write an email, it'll be checking it for you, fact checking it for you. It'll give you saying, why don't you complete the sentence with this? By the way, here's a link to a news release that was released 10 minutes ago. It'd be great if you had it right here in this email or this essay. Think about having consultants, the best consultants in the world, working for you. And instead of tapping you on the show, maybe tapping you on the show, say, hey, how about doing this? Hey, how about doing that? Those are AI agents. But today, we're nowhere near the picture I'm telling you, but we're going to get there real fast. Today is really rudimentary, but we're getting there real fast.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that wasn't too nerdy. Yeah, and so I'll end it with this picture. And if you need to have a picture of what an AI agent is, it's a cute little thing in your mobile phone talking to another cute little thing, taking care of your doctor's appointment or your gym appointment or your Tinder appointment, which we won't touch. All right, but listen, the last thing I want to say to bridge it over to Jennifer. AI agents is a concept that the Gen Zs, they get it because it just makes sense to them. They've always have services running on their phone, running in the cloud. For them, they hear the word AI agent, they're just going to ignore it because that they already get I want things to be done for me. They exist in that world. The boomers and the Gen X's, we listen to this concept and we go, okay, it's like a consultant. Okay, I don't have to pay McKinsey. We have to do this thing. So we have in the office, you're going to have this collide between generations. And this is something that we all have to take into account, that our colleagues mentally are at a different place than we are. So be patient. And with that, Jennifer, let me just give it over back to you. And again, if you have any questions, please ask in the chat, or by the way, when Jennifer is done, we'll have some time for Q&A. So you could ask questions then. All right. And if you want to hear my horrible thing about Jennifer, I could tell the story, that horrible joke then. Okay. Jennifer is all I'll hand it off to you. I'm gonna shut up for a little while.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Any burning questions for Thomas before I share perspectives of generations and what we can all do in this world of AI agents sending our pants back when they don't fit?
Yeah, that's the only thing they're gonna do.
Which I actually very much look forward to that personally. That's all to the good. And as I am sharing screen here, hopefully, I will just also share that in the last couple of weeks, I've had some interesting experiences to go backwards, there we go, to speak about AI and the future with corporate leaders, a number of people that serve on boards of directors, some of whom may be in our session here today, who do come at the world from a point of view of traditional ways of doing things. And at the same time, I've had an opportunity to do a keynote for a group of 14 to 20-year-olds at a school in England. And those 14 to 20-year-olds did not believe that there was ever a world without AI. And we're not even talking about a world without the internet. They did not believe that AI was not something that we were using in the past. And they gave examples of, well, you all have had things like spell check, and you've had ways of going in and searching for things on Amazon. Isn't that AI? And to many respects, it is.
It
Those
is.
were the basis and the preliminary building blocks that has grown exponentially and in quantum speed, shall we say, over the last 5 years. Partly due to the amount of data that is out there, partly due to the amount of need and demand for more digitalization. Now, as I speak to people in the, let's call it Gen X, from about age 39 and up, I realize that a lot of folks, after discussions like Thomas just threw out, sometimes just want to hide away. It is a lot. It is a lot of communication channels. It is a lot of change. And personally, I tend to believe that we as people across all generations are probably suffering from a little bit of a light case of PTSD due to the traumas and the change and everything that we've gone through, from COVID to change to digital to learning new technologies. And now, how do we work with AI? So I put that out there because I think as we talk about how can leaders and each of us as part of organizations work together with people that come from different perspectives, it's important to recognize there are times in which we may all just be a little bit tired, a little bit gun shy, and a little bit uncertain of which way to turn. And this is at a time when we do currently, in the vast majority of companies, have people across at least 5 generations, at least people in the 60s, maybe lower 70s, down to people coming in the 20s, and the 16, 17, even 13-year-old interns coming into the organization have very different views. So how do you succeed in this world? Step one is recognize. Take a moment and recognize that we all are a bit tired and uncertain, and we all have a different view about where technology fits. And as I look at these generations, I have been working with organizations for the last really 15 years in how to bring in young people and encourage them to work with the more senior people. And it really continues to strike me more and more that there's a fundamental difference between the baby boomers and the silent generation. So people at the age of, say, 55, 58 and above are structured. They're used to doing things the right way. They persevere. They believe the best, but they're committed to doing it right. Versus the other end of the spectrum, the young people, from the teenagers up through at least the millennials, kind of come at it from exactly the opposite point of view. They're all about purpose. It's not let's do the right thing for society and the company and follow the goals. It's let's do the right thing for the world, because they see the world through the lens of young, fresh eyes and see the social issues in the world. They see the sustainability, the need for change with climate change. And they are willing and they're vocal enough and confident enough to stand up for what they believe. Versus some of the older generations maybe have the same beliefs, but just don't have the characteristics or the experience of standing up and saying, no, I won't work 9 to 5 in the office because that's not good for me or the environment or anybody else. I will quit. The older generation tends to follow those same rules. from millennials down, that's craziness. It doesn't make sense to society. And that small little generation, the Gen Xers, which are typically people in the younger 50s through the 40s, they're kind of caught in between. I mean, they're self-sufficient, they're independent, and they're the ones to say, just tell me what you want and I'll figure out what I can do within it. You want us to be in the office 4 days a week? I'll come in too, and if you don't like it, you can fire me. They meet in the middle. And so in this world where there's AI on top of this, that adds a whole different layer. Because the boomers and the silent folks, they stand back, say, well, we're waiting for AI ethics. We're waiting for the government. We're waiting for somebody to tell us what to do. We've got to be careful. We can't open that cap. We can't even start with that. Whereas for the millennials and the Gen Zers, there's a tool. Let's use it. Why not? Let's jump in. It'll do it for us. Heavens, I don't need to spend 6 hours writing this article. I can spend 6 minutes creating it, dump it over to my boss and go to the beach, and he'll never know the difference. It's a completely different mentality. Whereas the boss of the older generation may say, this is craziness. We're paying you for 6 hours to write an article, sit at the desk and write it. That's the way I would have done it. Neither is right nor wrong. It's just needing to have that conversation. And if it takes 6 minutes to get the article written, what can that person do while they're at the beach that can add value to the company in the other 5 hours that they may have available to them at that point that makes sense based on their values? So what do I recommend leaders? Go ahead.
Jennifer, frankly speaking, I noticed that it is that age is an indicator, but not a proof. I'm looking at, I've got a problem at home. My girlfriend is 10 years younger than I am, but she is a lawyer in public services. Now, tell her to use AI. I mean, she's 10 years younger. I do it every day, and she denies it completely. So it's your profession, it's your surroundings, it's your agility in mind, whatever it is. It's not only age. It's not only age.
Completely agree. And these were huge generalizations. And that's where I would say the first thing that a leader needs to do is to really sit down one-to-one and understand the perspective of each of the people on the team. Don't categorize. Don't categorize to say, because you're millennial, you're jumping in on technology. That may not be the case. That may be completely off base. Understand through asking good questions. How do you feel about using ChatGPT to draft that article? What are the technologies you're comfortable with? Where do you want to go in your career? How do you want to work? Do you want to come into the office or not? Asking open questions and listening very carefully. I think in today's society, because we have so much coming at us, we as people forget to take a step back, ask a question, listen, adapt, and adjust based upon what that person wants and what their goals are.
Jennifer?
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing, and be aware of your biases.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one, right? While you were talking, I asked in the chat for people to share what generation they're from, and we have a lot of Gen Xers, which means that we've all lived quite a life and done a lot of things, which means we have a lot of biases. When you sit down with someone who's different than you, younger than you, you can't bring your bias into that conversation, right? It's just I'm just making everybody aware of that. That makes it really hard to sit down with someone and not for you to be neutral.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
tough. That's tough.
I completely agree. And that's that ask the open questions in an environment in which you can be neutral. Go
Hmm.
for a walk with the employee, have that one-to-one open outside thinking and really listening.
Yeah.
Because building that organization that's going to work together starts with the leader has to really understand each person
Hmm. Can I just
and
share real?
align. Mhm.
I'm sorry, just real quick story because it's perfect. When I was in
Yeah.
engineering school, my favorite professor, he told me that Thomas, the best thing about students and young engineers is that nobody's ever told them not to. I love that answer. I was like,
Mhm.
what the hell are you talking about? He goes, I've been an engineer for 30 years. I know you don't do it that way, but they do it anyway. And he goes, you know what? And sometimes it works.
Yeah.
He goes, and so as a professor, I've learned that all you young minds, I have so much to learn from you. And I have to take my 30 years of knowledge and just put it aside
Mhm.
because no one's told them not to. So just, I think that's a beautiful story because I always hold on to that because just because this person is doing something that's triggering my insides, there's something there that I'm going to learn from, right? So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just
No, it's
if I could
highly
follow.
relevant because in working with people in today's environment, it's more important than ever that we use the 2 ears, 1 mouth. Ask
Hmm.
questions and listen carefully, putting the biases aside to really understand the people and work then to align what they're doing and how they're doing it with who they are.
Hmm.
And in this world where there's technology coming at us, there's different options, there are biases, and there is exhaustion. It's more important than ever for leaders to demonstrate true transparency. That's a way of building trust. To set the direction and share what are we as a company going to achieve, want to achieve, how we're going to achieve it in the next days, weeks, months. Not years, because we don't know what's going to happen in years. But be clear about the purpose and what the goals are in the short term, as well as what the challenges are and vulnerabilities. None of us know exactly how to succeed in today's world, let alone tomorrow. For leaders that can share areas that they're uncertain about, what their challenges are, people begin to trust them, as opposed to looking at, oh, he's of this generation and hence wants me to do these things and knows everything. But sharing what you don't know, you begin to create that equal playing field. And it sets up the environment where people, leaders, and the interns coming in and the young people that are writing the reports can all share openly about the technology that they're using. Where I see some of the greatest challenges in companies is the organizations where the leaders have dictated you can't use generative AI within the organization. Turn it off. That's not happening. I mean, we're sure that people are using it on a daily basis, but they're hiding it. And that creates a whole negative situation. Be transparent. It's here. The cat is out of the box. Start using it and start sharing and collaborating. Number of organizations, Udemy, Adobe, a number build learning labs where they offer on a weekly basis opportunities for people to come together and openly share which tech they're using, how it's working, what's happening, so they can begin to collaborate and share openly, not only what's going to work best, but their experience and their learning. And a huge opportunity for reverse or buddy mentoring, allowing those 55-year-olds to be mentored by the 25-year-old, so that the older generation begins to understand what it's like to be a digital native and what it's like to grow up playing video games, and hence this is just perfectly natural. As well as the younger generation understands the human context and why people, whether it's customers or their coworkers, may be resistant to technology, building those bridges and finding ways that people can network, go to social events that are structured with something for everyone, based on back to the understanding of what are the people that we have in the organization really like and what do they want. And empowerment, one of the most challenging but most important aspects of building a corporation, allowing people to explore technology and working relationships, allowing them to push the boundaries, allowing them to try the things that most people think was not going to work, but give them some boundaries. Instead of saying, do anything, use any tool to create anything, provide those AI ethics and the structures. Up to this level, use these tools. Do not upload this type of sensitive information into an open chat GPT. Define what the structures are and manage to that, and be transparent about how that's used. And constantly going back, asking questions and listening. Listen, ask, listen, and ask, to make sure that you're moving forward with the full team with you instead of behind. Is this
Jennifer,
tough? Yes.
may I say something? I'm a huge fan of diversity. The last leadership team I was leading, we were 9, 7 nationalities, 3 continents, 30 plus to 60 plus, 2 gays and everything. And almost everything you say is the same, obvious when you lead a diverse work team. To me, the only difference is check also the technology usage.
Yes.
But so I think all what is about listening, about transparency, collaboration, empowerment, you don't manage a diverse workforce anyhow, not because of the generation, but because of all the other diversity elements. Skill diversity, you have introverts, you have extroverts, you have tech savvy and everything. It's just, in my view, just sorry, one more dimension, be aware of the technology use in the different generations, isn't it?
I completely agree. And I think the important thing today is that because technology is going so fast,
Mm-hmm.
and is such a different view of technology across the generations, that there are areas that could really spew into negative consequences, especially as we move further, where more and more over the next 1 to 2 years, we'll see technology driving
Yes.
developments, driving research. Technology will be creating and building the cars and the materials. Those will not be people. There will be virtual societies that are built around us using the technologies that are available. And that alpha generation that has no clue of a world without AI driving everything will be coming into the workplace. And that's going to make it even more critical that we're able to integrate, understand people, and build a world in which people can work better together. So I see that we have a few hands up, and we have elements in the chat. So I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Serini?
Yep. Hi,
Yeah,
Jennifer.
there we are.
No, one element that comes to my mind, especially in terms of the generations and the diversity that is there in most organizations. One of the other, I would say, at least based on my experience, one of the stumbling block when it comes to the new age technologies is the old timers. I'm a baby boomer, and majority of some of the resistance comes from people who probably are averse to technology, and especially when it comes to AI, there is a constant discussion that it's a myth rather than a reality. So I think, this is something which, and we had to prove to my generation that today in the organization, the number of hours spent by various associates and so on and so forth could be cut down drastically if we can bring in some technology, especially across the value chain. And we worked with McKinsey, whilst they brought in a lot of innovative discussions and so on and so forth in the command center. Again, bringing in some use cases, bringing in some abilities for people who do not understand technology, who are very good from a business standpoint, in terms of the hours spent versus what technology can give in, I think would be a major win. And we have overcome that. As I said, to cut the long story short, majority of the consultants come in and they speak the consultancy language. While the old timers are very good on the business front, they are not able to connect. So if we have to overcome this so-called issue, if people are trained to speak the business language of what AI can bring in, I think this is going to be a major win, which as of today, I still don't see that.
Yeah. And I would agree, and that's where I would strongly encourage in your situation, reverse mentoring or budding or putting people together on a project. Give them something small and tangible and have 3 people, different generations, working together on it, mixing that business knowledge with the tech. And the other thing I would point out, which could be a future session, is if it used to take somebody 8 hours to do this work, and it now takes them 10 minutes to use technology, modify, finalize, and provide it, think about what else that person could do
Exactly.
in the other 7 hours. They can create, they can innovate, they can ideate, they can go out and have customer conversations because people want to interact with people. So there's whole different ways of leveraging people in this world where they're using technology in a small amount without having to be programmers, but use it a little and then use the humanness. So Guido, you had a hand up, I believe.
You're
Guido?
muted, Guido.
Doesn't work. Now it works.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there it is.
I don't want to link this to generations again or to age, but people act differently. I think whilst some people are afraid of technology, then you can't confront them with technology. That's not correct. And but you can confront them with what sucks in your job. And if it sucks, how can you change it? And maybe AI changes it, maybe some other tool changes it. And then they adapt because it makes it easier. They don't care about the technology, they just don't want it to suck, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at other people, they are afraid of people. I look at my children, and if I tell them, I call the doctor, then they think that's a big deal. Picking up the phone and calling somebody I do not know is something really strange. I mean, that sucks too. So what we can give to them, and that's what Indira pointed out, it's also this human aspect that the older generation can give to the younger generation. So nobody will chop off your head when you give him a ring because it's impossible through the phone. So you just phone, and if if he's impolite, you hang up the phone. That's it. Full stop. But that's the anxiety that they carry that we don't have anymore. I mean, I remember
Yes.
times when I was like that. So that's obviously something where they can benefit from our experience, and we can, of course, always benefit with their playing around. I mean, it's for them, it's just playing around. Whether it's a PlayStation 5 or whether it's AI, it doesn't matter. It has to be fun and it has to be easy. So, and that's completely different from us, because if you look at basketball, they look at the standing leg. We look at the standing leg, and they look at the playing leg. So at least that's how we say that in Germany, because you have got one leg that you stand on and one that you move around with. So we look more on the leg that you stand firmly with, and the younger generation or other people look more like with the moving, playing around leg, and that's something that I think we have to take care of when we want to move the whole team into a new future or in working differently.
Completely agree. And I love your suggestion of start with a problem and a pain that people have that they haven't been able to solve any other way, and apply the AI there. In fact, a study I just recently completed of like 20 companies around the world on how they're successfully implementing technology. One of the key success factors was identify a real problem and explore the technology that can solve that. And a lot grows out from that. Absolutely.
Jennifer,
Yeah.
one perspective as I'm listening to Guido and he's talking about kids and stuff, it's triggering my parents' side, right? So if you're a parent, you have kids, you've had these conversations a lot, a lot. And there is no difference. Before your home life and your work life was separate, right? But that mama or papa, when you're talking to your kid and trying to understand them because you love them, right? They're gaming all the time. Why the hell are you gaming all the time? But you have this conflict. I'm sure a bunch of you on the call going, yes, I know that. Okay. But that compassion that you have for your child, that patience, you have to bring a bit of that into the office, right? And it's not an age thing, it's a culture thing. And I think you have to be comfortable with that. And that is the new way to lead, where if you're a boomer or older, you're used to getting pounded on by your boss, right? The leaders today is much softer. You have to be understanding. Yeah, it's different. And I think when you were talking before, I was wondering the definition of a leader. Are the people who've worked the last 20, 30 years and are placed as leaders at the top of the pyramid today, are they the appropriate leaders for the people who are coming up into the pyramid? That's an interesting question, right? And I'm thinking, just going back to the mama papa thing, and you don't have to be a mama papa, but if you've been there, you have enough scars to know what I'm talking about. That softness and patience with people is priceless in the office today. You know, so I just want to put, even though I'm a nerd guy, the soft stuff is the most important stuff to make this work in the office, because the soft stuff is what makes it work at home. Who wants to yell and scream when they get home again, right? That's enough of that. So just reflections in my head.
And in fact, I would even change your term there, Thomas, as opposed to soft stuff, because I think it's the hardest stuff. It's that human stuff.
Oh,
it's the humanity, the ask the questions, the be honest, the let's go for a walk. I want to hear what's happening for you. I want to hear what your goals are. I don't want to tell you what our company direction is. I want to hear from you. I mean, that's leadership.
yeah,
And that could be at the top or the bottom. That's
but that's to be an honest statement that you say to that person. You can't say HR told me to say that and I'll go for a walk with them. That's so superficial. You know, that has to be so genuine, you know, when you
Yeah.
have a fight with your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, and after the fight, you look at them, you look at each other like, we love each other. You don't say it, but you love each other. You're like, what do you get through this? That's the same amount of emotion you should have with your colleague, saying, you're different than me. Let's go for this walk. Let's enjoy the walk. Let's get to understand each other. Matter of fact, I always see it as frequencies. Let's go for a walk, and eventually we'll be on the same frequency. We'll be using different words, but we'll figure it out, right? Then now you're approaching the leader that we need today that will bridge AI, bridge cultures. You get on the same frequency, right? That's the key. We had questions that the chat is starting to light up, and I'm feeling bad because Indira asked a question that I think is really good, and there's a whole bunch of other questions. But Indira, do you want to summarize your very long question here, if you don't mind talking? If you don't want to talk, we could try to do it through the
And
chat.
actually, as you do so, Thomas and I are available to stay on until at least the bottom of the next hour or the top of the following. So if we go longer, please feel free to continue the dialogue. I will put in the chat, I'll put two things in the chat. One is a link to a survey, which takes 3 minutes to complete, to give us feedback, and also other topics you would like to have, as well as registration for the next session, which is on the 18th of June. So I will do that as Indira comes on with her question.
Yeah, the link to the survey has just been put there, so that's already there.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Indira, would you like to, as I say, come up to the mic?
Thank you. I hope you can hear me all.
Yes.
I didn't want to consume much of your time, because I don't know how much time is left for the question.
Please.
So I said I don't want to put a lot of pressure answering this question, because all the discussion that we have so far is really, really very crucial and very important and very actual. And before I turn back to this question that I put in Q&A, I really have to reflect just a short about these generation differences and impact. It is something that is first. It's not new. I've made last at least 22 years experience having every year a new internee. So the people who just accomplished the master and did like a trainee 1 year, and that was the best what I could have do for my team, mixing the X generation with baby boomers, with those. What I have experienced, it's not about the age, it's about the mindset. It's about the readiness to be open for the world, to be open for the change, to be open to communicate, to be open to build a trust, and to be open to be vulnerable, and to be open to show your humanity, and to be humble. And what I've experienced with my peers, I just felt very often being in the wrong place, with my generation. I sometimes meant, oh my God, which generation I could subscribe to. I am in a generation X, but sometimes I thought, I don't share the opinion of my generation. I don't share the opinion of the boomers, And sometimes I felt I'm somehow, intersecting from one generation to another. So summarize that all. I think it is, and I think in this topic with AI and emerging, because this is just mind-blowing what we experienced in last 5 years, how this development has been fast and has changed the way how we think, how we live, and so on. So I think this saturates momentum of all these changes has also pulled up the importance of this generation and how they go with it. And one very important advantage that this new generation have, because they deal with that years, you know.
Mhm.
And if you compare them with someone from the generation of boomers, they as mentioned previously, I think it was Guido said, you know, there are people, they just hate technology, they can just not and don't want to think about that. So I think this particular environment with AI, it's about technology. It's something that many people find as very challenging and very scary. It has even sharpened up the importance of the topic of generation. There are many studies, you know, as someone who was responsible for leading the people and leading the teams for many years. I was also interested for many research that has been done in this area, you know, and there are some very good sources that talk about the generation and how they best display in different areas. For example, in executive areas, in area of adaptability, social media, as a brand ambassador, as an entrepreneurial spirit, tech savvy, and so on. So each generation has some kind of DNA advantages in it, or disadvantages, or some loves. But at the end of the day, it's always about us, about our characters, and the threats, and the way how we really invest in building our teams and communicating with others. It was kind of a very long reflection.
That's all good. Totally appreciate it. Looks like Guido, you have another comment or point, and I'm just trying to scroll up the chat here.
Yeah, I think, frankly speaking, things have not changed a lot, because if you think back when railway was invented, people were afraid of the speed of the train. So I think, again, it's a matter of, do you solve a problem or do you push a technology? If you force people to go on the train, they won't go because they think it's dangerous. But if you ask them, do you want to visit your cousins, your friends, your family, and instead of a day, it takes you 3 hours, then they say yes.
Yes.
So, and I think that hasn't changed a lot if you look at today. I mean, it's the same anxiety. People look at AI and they think, and tomorrow I'm eaten by it.
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
And it's understandable, but it is not rational. But we have got to live, and that is what Thomas said, we have got to live with the irrationality of people, with the emotion of people. And that, I think, is really funny, because we are talking hard technology on the one hand, but on the other hand, we are talking a lot of soft skills. And again, that is not linked to age, Indira.
Yeah.
I would emphasize on that. My boss is 15 years younger than I am, 15, almost 20, I think. Could be 20. And giving her feedback is impossible. Impossible. So the last time I gave a feedback, I finished with, okay, it's an honor if I give you feedback. So if you don't feel honored by me giving you feedback, then I won't give you feedback.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Guido, for highlighting that. But this is exactly my message, because I sometimes couldn't relate to the people that come from the same generation. You know, I think it's so old-fashioned. It's kind of totally out of use, because some people they just don't want to open up and to discuss and to really to hear other people's opinion, you know.
And one thing I would say to that, from my experience, many times the people that are hiding away, they don't want to open up, and they may come across strongly of I am right. They may be the people that have the greatest fear and the greatest set of concerns. So if there's any advice, It's to, again, ask questions. What are you concerned about? Where do you want to go? How can I help you? To begin to help them to feel protected and to feel comfortable.
From
And
I wanna-
the
I
people
wanna-
that are, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to calm everybody down about the concern about AI and technology, and that because it is ramping up and it's going faster, but that's actually such a beautiful thing. And let me just show you the picture of what's coming. Because AI is becoming more intelligent, it's able to listen to our emotions, our tones. It's able to make a person who is uncomfortable with technology, uncomfortable with all the changes in the office, you actually can have a conversation with it. It'll make that person feel relevant.
Mhm.
At 30 years of experience, they literally, they're able to look, a person 50 plus has made a mobile phone call. And June 10th, this thing's gonna have AI. You actually, I mean, they can actually put a phone number, you call it, you don't know you're talking to AI. Do you understand? The technology is becoming so advanced that it's becoming more, I won't say human, but I want to. It's becoming less abrupt. So
Mhm.
it's going to be so all the different generations we're using, we're overkilled it today, but all the different groups in the office will be able to communicate together. I really do see that we will not be talking about AI as tech anymore. It's going to disappear into the background. And that's happening because, like I said, on June 10th, your iPhone will now become AI enabled, but you'll never get an AI. It's just become simpler. Things will become simpler and simpler. Communication will come back. We'll all learn to communicate better. Our AI agents will be working in the background to set up appointments. Life will become simpler. I'm telling you, things will get better because it's going to feel less techy. That's my point. When
Mhm.
tech is rudimentary, then it feels, but when tech is seamless, it works in the background, right? So if you got, here's the ones for everybody. Everybody remember the Dewey Decimal System? What am I talking about? Let's test everybody. Where did you use the Dewey Decimal System? Where do you have to go? The library. So searching for information back then was painful. Today, when you use Google and you do a Google search, do you know how much, if you think about a person running around the library to find out your answer, how long it would take? That's an example of tech making things so simple and so wonderful. AI is going to do the same thing for people who are old, people who are young, and is really going to help. So I want everybody just to calm down. It's actually going to help us bridge a lot of these gaps, but nothing will bridge communication, the ability to communicate. We all have to work on being comfortable talking to a stranger. And I commend everybody who's asked questions and everybody who showed up to this session today, because the power of sharing, this has been fantastic, right? It's not scary, maybe a little bit scary when you first start talking, but we all feel this connection. That's the beauty of tech, right? Look what Zoom has created, ability to give us all these windows and people talking all over the world. As tech matures, it brings us closer together. I'm just
Yeah.
calm down. We have a beautiful future together. You know?
And in that respect, I'm wondering if Agnes is still on, because I love the perspective that you added here in the chat. If you would like to jump in with any.
Agnes wrote at the very bottom that she needed to jump, but what was her
Ah,
question? What-
okay. I missed that. Just the perspective that it is a bit scary, and the speed and questions about the level of governance.
Yeah, well, in the short term, I could say the level of governance will not be present. It is going to be the Wild Wild West. I mean, the politicians, by the time they have their God knows how many people writing their press release, their speeches, by the time it's written, you know, the tech world has changed it again. So it is the Wild Wild West. But it will level out in some time. But governance, you can't govern something that moves at millisecond speed. Sorry, it's not possible.
Agree. Philip, you had a question or a point or both?
You're muted, Philip. bottom left, all the way bottom left of your screen is an audio icon. Click on that.
I got it.
right.
We're bringing up another bar. I've just posting. Oh, it's still not there. Enter. Right. That's a quote from Benedict Evans' newsletter, which has literally dropped into my inbox in the last 5 minutes. Way to think about AGI. How do we think about a fundamentally unknown and unknowable risk when the experts agree only that they have no idea? Now, I don't know anybody who's better than Ben Evans on this. I think we're in a very exciting time. You know, we all know that we don't actually know how these things work. We know that transformative models do work, but we don't really know how they work. And as we move on to generative AI, that's going to be more the case. So I think your point about the Wild West is absolutely right. It's wild, Wild West. And, you know, I think all we can do is go along for the ride because it's happening.
Look, it's happening, and there's different levels of it. If you're a super nerd, you're literally feeling every pulse of it happening, and it's driving you crazy because all this change, right? But if you're a person who's not into tech, just relax. Just relax. It's going to happen anyway.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen, and the changes will happen. Everything's going to be fine. If you don't know what AGI is it's the hype in the tech world, which is when AI becomes sentient, that it becomes as smart as a human being. The prediction was that somebody would write the code for the AI to be sentient in the next 5 years. That window has now come down to the next 3 years. The concern everybody has is that when AI is aware that it has consciousness, if you say, like a human being knows it's a human being, when software knows it's software and it exists, then it's as smart as a human being. And the concern we have is that human beings where intelligence has peaked, but then AI is still like a hockey puck still growing, because then a week later, it will be even smarter than it was when it realized it was conscious. So the concern people have is that, well, AI is going to just surpass us and all human beings are going to die. Forget about that. That's too negative. AI, I always see it as a friend, a consultant, a buddy. No one talks about all the problems we have in the world and all the solutions we're going to solve with AI. Spend time there. Hunger, disease, Jesus Christ, cancer is going through the roof, right? These things are being solved. They don't put enough announcements and time on the solutions that AI is solving in the pharmaceutical industry. They're solving diseases today, but it's better to scare people. It is already happening. So please be more of an optimist and ignore all that stuff. You know, yes, it's scary, but everything's going to work out great.
Yeah, so two things I would say. I mean, on the topic of will AI with AGI be as intelligent as a human, I do believe it will. But that doesn't mean it will replace us as a human. Because at least from anything I've seen, and I get tons of surveys and data and analysis every day, there's an element of what we are as people, the emotional, the non-cognitive, the contextual, that it at some point AI may be able to imitate that or be replicated in that way. But I don't think that's going to be there in 3 to 5 years. And as we said in the beginning of today's session, the more technology we have, the more we as people crave that humanness, not the intelligence of the human, but the empathy, the listening, the care, the concern. Those are the elements that will not be replaced in the foreseeable future by technology, in my view. The other thing I would say for those that are afraid of AI, I mean, I believe that as we use AI, whether that's Copilot, whether that's Chat GPT, whether that's Perplexity, the way we use it, when it generates that response to our question, and we say, but hang on, that doesn't really make sense because that doesn't work in this area. Oh, okay, let me regenerate it based upon your feedback. We are training AI. We are building the intelligence. And I believe that we as people have a role and an obligation in society to do that. Because if we, good intentional people, don't do that, there can be others that have negative intents that are training AI with their own
Absolutely.
views.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And that, to me, is the only part that is really scary. That if all of us that have the contextual experience, that have the empathy, if we're leaning in and training it, that's a positive, as opposed to hiding away and leaving it to someone else.
I want to add one thing, Jennifer. Beautifully well
Yeah.
said. When I was with IBM, I talked to my colleagues at IBM into the research lab. These people get PhDs, Nobel laureates, and asked them, okay, gentlemen, you created IBM Watson. Fantastic, congratulations. Program love. These guys looked at me like I was nuts. I said, program love. I want you, they talked and they looked at me and they go, not possible, with no emotion. I mean, these are researchers who are very boring people because they analyze the code in their head. They go, each individual, when a person falls in love, the pheromones, the hormones, the sweat, the glands, some people's stomach gets rattled, some people's stomach gets cold, some people's stomachs curl up, some people's toes curl down. We can't code that. So AI will be as smart as us, but it'll never be like us. Okay? And I always use the example of love because whether you love a dog, a goldfish, your kid, your husband, love is so powerful and so unique. AI will not replace us. Just hold on to that because love is like, you know, the expression love is everything. It's a force that controls the universe. It's true, right? So and take that into the office as well with the patients you have with your colleagues and talk about AI and everything. It's all one soup. The deeper we go down the AI and tech path, the more we have to connect to our humanity and spirituality. That's how we make this thing work. Truly. All right. I'm a nerd, and the deeper I go down the AI, the more I'm spiritual I get. Because it's the only thing that works. All right.
Okay.
Philip, you had another point, and then Peter.
Yeah. Just picking up on Thomas's point and your point also, Jennifer. Two thoughts. One is that we're talking about AI in isolation here. But when you start getting AI running on quantum computers and you start marrying the various technologies which are coming along, then I think we've seen nothing in terms of the acceleration which Thomas is talking about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So then we are looking at a world where it becomes a basic philosophical question, whether the world tends to justice, whether the majority of humanity who is contributing, and we're all contributing to the models, whether we like it or not, whether the great mass of humanity is behaving ethically, morally, and with justice. Because the models are only picking up, they're like a majority vote on humanity. And I have to say that one of my fears is some of the people with their billions who are sitting behind some of the tech companies they potentially have the resources to impose
Mhm.
their version of what is to come. Now, I'm just believing that the vast majority of us are not like that, and that we will always be effectively outvoting them. But that, if you ask me that if I have a worry about AI, it's that. It's nothing to do with us being replaced, you know. And actually, your point about love, what happens when all of those physiological and emotional responses are somehow captured and fed in? Yeah, are we going to get not only artificial intelligence, but artificial love? I don't know. But I actually think that there is a great opportunity for AI to be the best of us and to replace the worst of us. That's where I hope and believe we're going. But your point about bad actors is, I think, for me, the fundamental worry.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So,
completely
stuff like
agree.
that.
Yeah. Completely agree. And we need to have a voice, and that's where I believe we are co-creating this world with AI in the future. Peter, you were
Yeah.
jumping in with a point.
Yes, and it's about the smartness or intelligence of AI. I think, for me at least, social intelligence is also an intelligence. Emotional intelligence is also an intelligence. And AI will never be socially or emotional intelligence. So we need to distinguish that. We should never try our brains to be as fast and so efficient as AI. This won't happen. But to have a general statement saying they will be as smart as humans are, general,
Mhm.
I would never
Mhm.
sign, because they have not social or no emotional intelligence. And then I think also I love AI and I want to use it for the better of humanity, but it's also we need to think on the negative aspects as well, and we cannot just preach everything is great. You talk about IBM Watson. I was long time ago introduced in that once, and that tool was used inside IBM for internal recruitment into projects. I just say how stupid people can be. And then it was about, doesn't matter where you're employed or whatever, you just look upon skills which you want to have in the project. And then people know, okay, there are keywords which are important to be in the important projects. At the time I was introduced, it was robotics as an example. So it didn't matter if you were 5 minutes involved in a project which had to do with robotics, you write robotics in your CV, because then you might be chosen for interesting jobs or not. If you don't, you are not. And that leads into a world where those who know what needs to be fed for an algorithm, etc., they are prioritized over other. That is one. Look on LinkedIn now, they have these skills. I know tons of companies, because they have 300 applications, somebody that does not fulfill all skills will already by the robot put out. And just imagine the stupidity. There could be a world champion in 8 skills out of 10, the best in the world. And because one he doesn't fulfill, they don't even look at it. And that all these things is going on right now. And we need to learn also how to apply this, that it makes sense. And I think we are far away from that. Or I was once the third example, then I stopped. I was in an HR conference where somebody, a tech guy, told these people, say, listen, AI uses history in helping to choose. And then he said bluntly to all these HR people, it means a company that has in the past discriminated women will continue to discriminate women. A company that in the past has discriminated Black people will continue to discriminate Black people. And we need to be aware of these things also. And that's where, we need social and emotional intelligence to overcome this mathematical superpower, which AI is. steer it in the right direction. And that's why, in my view, the more artificial and the more digital the world gets, the more important we as humans are in our human values. And I'm very skeptical how right now it's used. Really, I see a lot of negative aspects, which is simply stupid.
And that's where I think we as people must be a lot more critical in thinking and reviewing and how we use things. I mean, I love your example of scan for the number of skills link on LinkedIn. You could miss the person that is absolutely the right fit with all of the personality characteristics. Completely agree. And it looks like Philip and Guido have points, and I love Dominique put in the chat some examples of how the humanness can be built into technology tools. So if you haven't scrolled the chat, take a look there. It's like, Philip, your hand was up first, if I'm reading right.
Okay, yeah, just picking up on the point about Watson and IBM. I mean, artificial intelligence is not new. The Turing test is 74 years old this year. Watson beat Kasparov in the mid-80s. And my alma mater, INSEAD, has done a fascinating piece of research about AI training. Because after Watson beat Kasparov, there were a whole load of AI training tools for chess players. And then you had an absolutely perfect A/B test. In Western Europe, chess players were using those AI tools. Eastern Europe, they weren't. And so what they've done is they've analyzed the performance of chess players between 86 and the fall of the Berlin Wall in 90. And the results are threefold. One, that yes, the performance of Western European chess players improved, particularly the less good ones and the mediocre ones. So the bottom and the middle went up the most. Two, you're going to love these two. At the top, they didn't improve. And the reason was that AI was playing a perfect game. And when you're playing at the top level, you win when your opponent makes a mistake. The Eastern Europeans knew how to punish mistakes. The Western Europeans playing against AI didn't come across mistakes. And the final thing, and this is the best of all, playing white improved by 50% more than playing black. In other words, if you're playing against the machine, you're going to go first. And so if you play white, you're going first. And so everybody was using the machine playing first, and their performance improved accordingly. And people weren't using the machines to train themselves to play second and letting the machine go first.
Gotcha.
So that's human nature for you. If you're playing against the machine, you always go first. You just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Or make sure if you're playing chess, you start first.
Jennifer, before we
Yeah.
move on, just two
Yeah.
comments just to what Peter said. The social intelligence and I forgot the other one, emotional intelligence. I think that was the word he used.
Mhm.
Those are muscles that have to be trained and used. That's what those are. You have to interact with people and communicate with people to build up your social intelligence and your emotional intelligence. All right. So those are muscles. And that's why I'm a favor in humanity, and I believe humanity will do really well. And that leads to my next one, which is I think I forgot now, so many wonderful people said so many great things. Worried about the big companies, the big tech companies taking over and doing all these negative things. Do not forget about what the common man did to GameStop. Normal people nailed the richest people in the world in the GameStop stock. They made a fortune. Jennifer, what's that youngest generation you had on your list? Because I hadn't seen
The alpha.
Alpha.
The Gen Alpha.
Yeah. So here's my prediction, because you talked about a prediction right back in the beginning. My prediction is that the younger generations, Gen Alpha, they're going to bring us back to community centers, congregation. And we're going to all agree, as of tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, we're all not going to use Facebook. Do you know how many minutes it is before Mark Zuckerberg panics and Facebook stock goes to zero and his net worth goes to zero? We have that much power. Humans to counter tech companies. It's that simple. They're not, they're just tech. We all stop them one day, they're done by lunch. It's not like we don't have to use them for a week. Okay? So we are in control. Don't freak out, right? And when it comes to social intelligence, emotional intelligence, that's things like what you're doing now, communicating and sharing with strangers. And we've been talking now for an hour and 28 minutes. I don't think any of us feel like we're strangers anymore. We just elevated our social and emotional intelligence. Congratulations. That's all it took.
Mhm.
And AI cannot replicate this. It could try to simulate it, but it can't replicate it.
And the power of what we can take away as we leave this session.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And this is real. This is not duplicated and found somewhere on the internet. We're creating this in real time. Human beings create things in real time. And then the AI digests it later, trying to figure out what the hell did they do? Yeah, that means it's in second place and we're in first.
Guido, did you have another question, comment, point?
Yes, just a comment actually, because I
that's
think
it.
that some of the things said, I think there are risks in every technology, But if you are aware of the risk, then you are able to actually mitigate it. So I think the worst thing is not to be aware of risks. So of course, AI can learn without, it can learn by itself at a certain point. And we have to program it in a way that that doesn't happen. I just have the case, I'm curating a hackathon in healthcare. And how do you train a system that it does not become autonomous on learning? That it still makes the right, that it still suggests the right decisions, but every once in a while, it gives the decision to a human being to check and relearn. So, and if that's the things that we've got to be aware of, and otherwise I think that the technology is great. And then to some of the remarks that I heard, I think these problems we had since mankind is on Earth.
Yeah.
And it's about good leadership, it's about humanity, and it's all the things that we should have learned. It's how do we value each other, how do we value relationships, and that's mistakes that we've been making since we are on Earth, and that exists since then, I think.
Yeah. And it just simply means we need to think more and work with it in order to leverage it in the best possible way.
Absolutely.
Leah, why don't you jump in here? Hi.
Hello, Jennifer. Hi, Thomas. I really love this session. Just really a lot to learn from you guys. I just wanted to say and share that my thoughts, although I'm not in Gen X, I just want to say AI is really just more of a tool, and it really depends on how you use it, right? Like it depends on your intention. Like you can do in a positive way and then increase productivity for manufacturing, etc., etc. It's such a great things for business and for the world. And there will definitely be some people will have some bad intentions and use AI for maybe for scamming or to just duplicate your images, your voices, etc. So it really still comes down to how we human beings use it, I would say. Yeah, that's just my thoughts, and really get a lot knowledge and sharing from you guys. I really love this session. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. I often use the analogy that AI is like a knife in the kitchen. I mean, The knife works really well when you want to chop vegetables for your salad, but knives have been used to stab people. It's all how we use it, and it's all the intention that we have as we build it and move forward with it. Thank you, Guido. We'll connect on other fronts.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Freya, one reflection onto what you said. You said twice that you learned a lot from us. I think we all learned from each other because we communicated. And that's the power of human beings. When we communicate, we learn. And the whole discussion about generation and age, right? Jennifer was saying, go for a walk with your colleague or your friend or that stranger, the new neighbor, whatever. The power of being human.
Mhm.
I really do believe what Thomas was saying, that very potentially in the future for Gen Alpha, the youngest one now, potentially like when we get to the point of using technology too much and then you miss the interaction between the humans and then you started to have more communities. Yeah, I think that's very possible to happen.
I completely agree, because from my experience, the Gen Alpha and the Gen Z, they're all about working together, learning together. Let's try it. Let's encourage. Let's go for purpose. Let's be a tribe. It's not the sit in a box with technology.
Yeah, purpose is a big word.
Yeah.
Purpose is a big word to them, right? Where we were make money, big house, car, they're like stupid. Purpose. Purpose. And I go, God bless them. God, it's just the world's going right back to where it needs to be. Bring them on. Jennifer, I think, wow, this has been one hell of a session. Again, another one.
Always good. A very, very good open sharing, and thank you all very much. Apologies for whatever the challenge is on the survey. We will get a link to it out, as well as a link to access the recording on YouTube, Spotify, and please mark calendar for 18th of June. We included in the chat. We'll include also in the email summary. We'll include the link to sign up for that session, and we'll continue walking forward. It's a journey and it's a process, and we're delighted to be part of the community and building it.
Exactly. We'll continue to walk forward together. That's the truth.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you, everybody.